Um, this is the second session I've done for voluntary action. The first one was an overview of all of Office 365, and today we're going to sort of try and deep dive into Teams. And I'm just going to start firstly with a request. If you have questions, just jump in and ask. I haven't prepared a massive agenda for today. I'm going to just walk you through it step by step and feature by feature. So please just ask questions as and when you see them. If I'm going to answer something later on, I might just ask Marta to take a note, and I'll come back to it later on. So firstly, what is Teams? Teams is a component, a part of the Office 365 platform that Microsoft now produce, which is a sort of an umbrella or a package of very, very useful applications, some of which you'll know well, such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and Outlook. Some of them you might know a little bit, things like SharePoint, OneDrive, OneNote. And there's probably a whole load that you've never come across, such as Stream, Flow, Delve, and all kinds of things that even I can't keep track of. Microsoft comes up with new ones every few days. They're all really good. Many of them are free, so you can go and try them out if you feel you've got a use. And I will show you later on just how to get to them so you can see those as well. But we're going to focus on Teams, which is Microsoft's communications and collaboration platform. It's been through a number of different versions over the time. Originally it was called Office Communication System. Then it was called Link, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Then it was called Skype. Microsoft actually bought Skype, and they branded a business version, Skype for Business, which was quite successful, and that was their first foray into sort of collaborating across different platforms. So Skype for Business users could chat with Skype users. But then they've decided to really enhance it and really step up their game, probably about 2 or 3 years ago now, and renamed Skype for Business as Teams, and are branding and investing heavily in the Teams name. And it's much more than just Skype. You'll be familiar with Skype, I'm sure, as a sort of a telephone system, a calling solution. Teams does that, but also it does so much more. And Microsoft are really trying to make Teams your go-to place when you turn on your PC. So embedded and integrated into Teams, you can see Word documents and Excel documents. You can see email. You can have chat. You can share screens. You can have voice calls and video calls. You can see files and access SharePoint. So it's really starting to become a one-stop shop for everything you might do. So with that, let me show you Teams. Okay, so this is the application. Down the left-hand side, you have the various different features of Teams, and I'm going to go through these one by one in a few minutes. Up the top, you have a search bar, and your settings and your sort of personal configuration is here on the very right-hand corner. So if we start with activity is just going to talk to you and show you what you have done or what other people have done that's relevant to you within your Teams environment. So I have a feed of everything that I've seen. Please, this is my work Teams account, so try not to look too much detail at any of the stuff I've got here. If you're very interested, I'm happy to talk to you about it, but it's not going to be that exciting, except for this one here. Okay, you can see here that I was chatting to Marta. On the right-hand side is the actual chat window. I said hi, she says hi. I say welcome to Teams, and you see she liked that. And so my activity feed just gives me a notification that Martha's liked a message that I've written. Okay, so that's in here. There's a few likes, and there's some other people. Someone's replied to me here. That's my feed of what other people have done. I can also see my activity, and so I can see here where I have replied to other people. Okay, so you've got a history of what's going on here, and it's a good way to remind yourself what's happened or catch up if you've been away from your desk for a few days. As with everything, you can filter and search. So if I just want to see Marta, yeah, it just shows me the messages that are relevant to her. Or if I searched for today, yeah, it shows me every message I've got that someone's mentioned today. Okay, so fairly standard, fairly straightforward sort of search features. Within here as well, through your settings, you can manage the notifications you get. So a lot of people now actually have more than one copy of Teams. They have Teams with work and maybe Teams with one of their clubs or charities. So they're not always logged in. So you may want to come in here to look at your notifications and set various reminders and pop-ups to tell you when there's been some activity. So you see here, I get an email. So if someone chats to me while I'm not logged in, very, very quickly, Teams will send me an email to say, hey, John Smith has replied to your message, so that I don't miss it and I can go back and check. And you have all kinds of options. I'm not going to go through all of them now. They're pretty straightforward. You just set them up to whatever works for you. So that's your activity feed. Any questions so far? Is everyone happy with that? Okay, so the next item is chat, which again you'll all be fairly familiar with. It's very standard to instant messaging chats. You can click on the new chat here to enter the name of somebody you want to talk to. Okay, and if you want to talk to more than one person, you can do that as well. So I could say Marta. Yeah, let me pick. Yeah, I want Jason. I want Andrew. Yeah, and you see this is the chat I've had with these two people. If I now added in someone else, the three of us haven't had a chat before, so it's completely blank and empty. If I remove Andrew, okay, I've not had a chat with Richard and Jason before, so again it's still blank. If I remove Richard, it shows me the history of chat I've had between myself and Jason. So it's very helpful to set up lots and lots of, they're not quite chat rooms, but you could see them that way. They're private groups between just you and whoever else you put up here. Okay, or you can just search down the left-hand side for your recent chats. So I was just talking to Marta before here, just making sure everything was working, and I can see the history of what I've spoken about before. And as always, I can send her more messages and keep bugging her whenever I want to. And if she wants, she can reply to me. Likewise, similar sort of Facebook style, Twitter style, there are little emotions you can send back to the messages. So quite often I don't want to say thanks, and keep everyone saying thank you to try and get off a call. If I see something I like, I'll just give it a little thumbs up and move on. They know I've seen it, but there's no more conversation. You'll notice here with Marta, I've got this little box saying external. That's because I'm logged into my company's account, whereas Marta's logged into Voluntary Action Islington. So we're not on the same Teams at all. We don't have the same license. We don't have the same package. There's no connection between the two organisations. But I can chat very easily to her because she also has Teams. And for anybody else here who has Teams, you have to type in the full address. So whereas I can just type in, Jason and talk to Jason in my company, if I want to go to somebody new, you have to type in their full address. As an example, this is me. You see here, it doesn't recognize me in the address book, but it can search for me and it finds me here. I'm an external user and I'm actually on Skype with my personal account. So it's really great for talking across any organization and collaborating with people that don't work with you as much as people that do work in your company. We have here the little status. So for Marta, it's do not disturb. That'll be automatically set because she's in a video call. But if you look here, this guy Richard, he's got a little green tick, which means he's logged into his computer. He's at his computer, and he's free to chat if we wanted to. However, Helen's logged into her computer, but she's away. She's not moved her mouse for, I think it's 5 or maybe 10 minutes. So I know she's there, but if I send her a message, she's unlikely to reply straight away because she's away from her screen. Andrew is even more away. He's got an out of office on, right? So I know he's not going to reply to me today. And if I hover over his picture, I'm going to get all the details about him, but I'm also going to see his out of office. So he's on leave until Thursday morning. He should be back by now, but he's obviously not turned that off yet.
How do you set that then to your status out of office? How do you get it to show red, green? Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
it's a little bit automatic. So I'm in a meeting. It recognizes that from my Outlook calendar. So it's automatically set my status to red, and it will set it back to green when I'm finished, and it will set it to away when I don't move my mouse for a while. It'll do that automatically. But you can just click on your name here, and you can change your status if you want to. So although I'm in a meeting, I might say, well, I want to be seen as available. I want people to call me if they feel they need to, right? Or sometimes if you get a lot of people texting you and messaging you, and you just want to focus on some work, I might just appear offline. So they'll think I'm away from my desk. But as you can all tell, because you're talking to me, I am still here and online.
So even though you put that status to say, i.e. that you're offline, can people still communicate with you, or does it block it?
They can still, in fact, you have 2 options. You can set your computer not to receive messages while you're busy.
Okay.
And it will actually just pop them all up when you come off busy and go back to available. But most people don't have that. So if I sent Stella here a message right now, it would still pop up on her screen. And depending on her settings, she might have that sort of suppressed until she's finished, or she might see that straight away. It doesn't matter what their status is, you can still send them a message.
Okay.
It's more on their end as to whether they're going to reply. Or for example, Marta, I might not try and phone her now, right? Because that might be a little bit too intrusive. She's set to do not disturb, but I might send her a message saying, hey, can you ping me a message back when you're free?
Right.
And likewise, you can set a status message so that people can see when they hover over you, it'll tell them a message if you have something interesting you want to say. Perhaps you might want to say, I'm off site today at another conference. And so when they see your status, as well as do not disturb, they'll get your message here.
Cool.
Okay. So that's sort of your general chat. Down here is where you type in your messages. You can expand that, and you've got all the options for bold, italics, different colors, highlighters. So this can be very rich text. It doesn't have to be just pure, unformatted text. It can be very, very colorful, very, very exciting if you want. You've got emoticons if you want them. Some people love these. You can send stickers. All right. Oh yeah. So let's send that to Marta. All right. Don't quite know why you want to do that, but it's there if you do. And I'm going to come back to meetings in a minute. You can schedule meetings a number of different ways. Okay. Now that I've started this chat, I can also come up here on the top right-hand corner, and I've got a few more options as to how to sort of enhance the chat. So I've not got a camera, so this is grayed out. But if I had a camera plugged into my PC, I could click that button to start a video call. But what I could do is click on this one and start an audio call. So it'll start ringing on her PC, and she can answer that call, and we can talk as we're talking here on Zoom. Likewise, I might want to share my screen. So if I click on that, I could share this screen, I could share one of my other screens, and she can now see what I'm doing. Okay, which is really helpful for support or collaboration. You want to say, well, let me show you the error message I'm seeing, or let me show you the document I'm looking at the moment, and we can look at it together. But then once you start this, I can't show you this now, I don't think, but once you start screen sharing, you can also give control. So if I'm struggling to do something, I could share my screen with Marta and then give her control of my screen so that she could actually log in to my PC and do that work for me, which is very, very helpful if you're struggling and if you need someone to do something for you, to install some software or to type up a few lines of text maybe. So that's chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we got a couple of questions, Tom.
Okay.
And yeah, one is related to chat. There's Karen asking if Teams chat function is comparable to using Slack. I guess in the way that she says basically that you can set up different chat subjects with team members. Then I guess that when you were showing that you have conversations maybe with 3 different people, can you rename it and call that chat in a different way, like next event or for the next training or AGM organization or something like that? Can you rename those chats?
I don't know if you can rename the chats, but Teams is Microsoft's answer to Slack. It's how they plan to beat Slack, and there's very little you can do in Slack that you can't do in Teams. Can I answer that question in a few minutes when I come to the Teams section of Teams? Okay, which is I think actually what you're asking about there. So I'll come back to that one if you don't mind.
Yeah, perfect.
Were there some other questions?
Yeah, we got other questions. There is a lane saying that they got they set up with their emails with Google, but they have Teams. And how does this work with Teams? Do you really have to be on Outlook for a better service?
If you're not a Teams user, then you're very limited in what you can do. You can join meetings. I don't think you can't chat. So you can't do this chat through Google.
Yeah.
You can join meetings that we'll show you in a minute and chat in the meeting settings, but you can't just have a sort of an ad hoc chat or an ad hoc call.
We've got a few. There are a couple that I can reply on the chat, but it's. I'm going to do it quickly. There is one that basically it's saying that when Roberta when she's sending a message through Teams and she clicks return, it sends the message straight away. And if there is a way to create a paragraph, I guess it's the shift intro way to do it. Huh? Yeah, but you
exactly.
Can that, yeah.
So if you click on this button here, it sort of expands this window, and you can start typing. If you hold down the shift and press enter, you'll get a second line. Yeah, and I think actually once you started that, yes. So now I'm not pressing shift; I'm just pressing enter, and it allows me to carry on. Yeah, like that. So and again here you can make things numbered, systems, all kinds of things. You can even embed links to other sites. Yeah, and from then on, you click on the send button. This is Marta, this is to you. I'm sending you complete junk. But now that I've done that, if I type something else and press enter, it will go back to the first behavior of just sending that message. So you either have to start typing, hold down shift. Oh, I can't spell type. Yeah, and hold down shift. Yeah, or you click on this to open up a slightly bigger window, and from here you can do all kinds of things. And it's not until you press the send button that will actually send.
Perfect. Yeah, I've got another one that it says that in some chats, the iPhone has the option to set the message as important, and in some chats, it's not possible. If you have any ideas of that, or maybe we can look at that later.
Sorry, you actually broke up for me there a little bit.
Sorry, but basically, yeah, the question is like in some chats, they have the option to set the message as important, and in some they can if there is something in particular that it's.
I actually don't know the answer to that one.
Yeah. Okay, we can look
know,
at
sorry.
that later.
Yeah, I can check. I'll check into that and find out for you.
Then at the moment, that's it with the questions.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move on from basic chat. And I'm going to move into the Teams section of the Teams application. This is unfortunately named because it's very confusing. So sometimes when I say Teams, I mean the application. Sometimes when I say Teams, I mean this page here. And this page, to answer the question from earlier, this is the real sort of Slack comparison. So each one of these is a team or a channel in Slack. And each one of these teams has its own channel. Okay, so I've created this one here called Test Team, and it just has a general channel. But if you can see there are more complex ones that go into all kinds of details, or no details at all in most cases. But anyway, so each team has a set of members. So in this particular test team, I'm the owner, I control it, and I have one member, and that's Marta. Okay, so the two of us can chat together in this team, and it's private just to us two. Okay, I could go and add somebody else. Okay, and I could pick somebody in my team here. I could pick an external address. Yeah, add them in. So you notice they're added as a guest, not a member. So again, what they can do is slightly more limited, but they're now a member of that channel. And in their copy of Teams, this channel will pop up. Okay, I could remove them if I want to, or people can join teams themselves. So this particular team, I think I set it to private. I can't remember quite where to see that. Well, I'm pretty sure this is a private team, so you can't see it. But if I wanted to just look around, I'd click on this button here, join or create a team, and it would show me the teams that exist in my business that I'm not a member of, that I'm free to join. So this one here, for example, Power BI training, I just click join team, and you see here Power BI training has now appeared, and I can look at the channel and I can see messages from 2019 that Renata here has sent about Power BI training. So I can see all of the history that has been part of this team in the past. Okay, yeah, so that's how you would join a team or search for or join a team. And it's the same place to go if you want to create a new team. If you just create a team, this is a new team from scratch, you have the option of saying it's private and only the owners can invite new members. Okay, so maybe that's for a finance or something confidential. A public, that's a public team that anybody can join if they wish. You could invite them, they could just choose to join it themselves. Or an organizational wide team, which everybody is automatically enrolled into. So this might be, sort of maybe HR policies or something that everybody needs to know about, and they will automatically get it whether they want to or not. So once you've created a team, you have a few options. I've shown you already how you can add members, leave the team. I can get a link, so I can email people this link and say, hey, come and join my team. Right, so I just send them that email. It's not a very friendly address, friendly link, but you just send them that link and they can click on it and join. But actually where it gets more interesting is in the channels. Okay, general channel is created by default for every single team. You can set the permissions to this channel different to the rest of the team. So for this channel, perhaps, I want to say only owners can post messages to the general channel, but maybe another channel everybody can post into. Okay, so this is more for information sharing. And if you're interested, you can see some engagement here. Okay, not much has happened here. Let's look at a reasonably interesting one here. So if we look at analytics. Here's where I see how my team are doing. Not particularly exciting. They're not using it very much. One post a day. I don't think any of these are particularly well. My company is not using Teams particularly well at the moment. We have a lot of it, but we've not engaged in these teams very well. We're much more of a chat company. But that's fine. That's the beauty of Teams. It works however you want it to work. You don't have to. If you don't want to use this, you don't use it. Just use regular chat. If you do, great. And there are other groups I'm a part of that use this stuff very intensely. Right, so back here. So we can start a conversation. So this is just like chat. Hi team. Oops, I really can't type today. Hi team. Okay, so that's been posted to the channel. Okay, so everybody that's a member of this channel, if they've got the right notification settings, would get a little button here that shows them there's some new activity, or whenever they next come into Teams, this would be bold, sort of unread, and they can come in and see that, and they can reply to me if they want to. Okay, and this is persistent for all time unless you actively delete it. So if somebody joins the team later on, they'll see the old messages and they can kind of catch up quite quickly and easily. So in this way, it's better to use a team here than it is to use email, for example, because emails, you know, if I suddenly include somebody, they may not know what's happened in the past unless they've got all the old email threads. This way they can kind of catch up and see what's been said before. And it has all of the same options here as you're used to. So you can have the formatting, you can attach a file. Okay, so I can attach a file from OneDrive, I can upload something from my computer. I can schedule a meeting. We're going to come to meetings in a minute. And as I said, no one's ever heard of Stream, but you could post a Stream video. It's kind of Microsoft's version of YouTube. This one, I don't know what that is. Praise. Never seen that before. Or I could even link it to Zoom and join a Zoom call here. Okay. Marta, any questions at this point?
We got another question that it's basically from Naomi saying if you can delete messages either in chat or in Teams.
You can delete messages here. Just so you find the message, you click on the little three dots, and you have a whole lot of options here. You could save it, you could change it, delete it, or mark as unread, assuming the team allows it. So again, if I go back in here, I think in settings somewhere, permissions, right? So you can allow or not allow people to delete things, to upload elements, or maybe members can, but maybe guests can't, right? So by default, that's unticked. Guests generally are slightly less trusted. You don't want them to be deleting things, but the actual member themselves can perhaps. So it depends on the permissions. And in regular chat, you can also delete messages. There you go. It does let you know that it's been deleted, and everyone sees that. So it's not completely deleted, but they can no longer see what was said. Any other questions, or shall I move on?
Basically, in the same thread, it basically it's just the owner that can delete members. Okay, it's members, not messages. Yeah,
so just the owner can manage the members of the team here, but you can have more than one owner. I'm not going to add anyone because this is my work one. If I start adding them, they'll instantly start calling me and say, well, why are you adding me to this test? But you can add people and just change them here from owner or member to owner in normal cases, or owner to member if you want to demote them. So if somebody else took over the management of this team, I'd go and add them as an owner, and I'd change myself down to a member probably. You can't do that with guests. So guests have limited access. They can't be made into owners.
Okay. Yeah, that's it at the moment. Okay.
So I've shown you the basic Teams channel chat, but there's actually a lot more you can do, and you'll see it up here. in these tabs. So we've been looking at posts, which is chat, but you can do more than that. You can have a look at files. So you can share files just to this team. Okay, so if you're not a member of this team, you won't see this folder, and you won't see the file inside this folder. Okay, this is basically a private, security permissioned space just for members of the team, and you can upload whatever you want here, either by uploading files from your computer, or just dragging and dropping files from your desktop and pasting them here. Okay, you can even just create new files as well if you want to, so you don't need to go anywhere else. But this is really cool, and this is where some people get a little bit confused. You can do a lot more than just, you can manage these folders in a lot more ways than just through Teams. So you've seen here how to look at it in Teams, and you've got a standard folder structure. You could synchronize that to your PC. So if I hit the sync button, it should come up. Maybe today it doesn't want to, but it will come up and show you. Let me open Explorer. It'll effectively synchronize into your File Explorer. So here are teams that I'm a member of. I'll show you this one. So Project Butterfly documentation. In fact, no, not that one. Let me pick Technology Team, Documents. So here's Technology Team. See Archive General IT. If I look at Technology Team Files, Documents, here's the same folder structure, Archive General IT Documents. Okay, so you can get to this the way people are used to through their Explorer, which a lot of people prefer because they're used to accessing things through Explorer. They don't kind of get how to get to it through Teams. You do also have the option. This is why I say it's sometimes confusing. You do also have the option to open the file in SharePoint. We've not got enough time, I think, in today's call to talk about how Teams files works in the background. Just to say that actually what you're looking at here is a nice front end on SharePoint, okay, which you might already know.
I was going to say that it looks exactly like SharePoint.
Yeah, so this is SharePoint. This is the exact same thing. You've got the example folder and the Word document, and you've got the example folder and the Word document. Okay, so you can also manage this through SharePoint if that's what you're used to, or if you don't have the Teams application installed, you can go to your SharePoint site and you can still access these files. And again, there we go, sync is working now. All right, so if I hit sync, there's a fourth way of looking at the files, which is OneDrive. Yeah, so if I open up OneDrive, unfortunately you can't see it's on my other screen, but I get the little cloud in the bottom right hand corner here on my other screen, which is the OneDrive icon, and in there I can also see these same files. Okay, and if you're already familiar with SharePoint, you can even go further, change the access permissions, give more people links, do all the usual things you can do in SharePoint. Here's where you can go to look at your recycle bin as well. So if the file's been accidentally deleted, you can come into SharePoint and restore it. But I'm not going to go into that in too much detail because I think it's probably too advanced for today.
But we got a question here about the sharing options that is quite interesting. That is that if you have the same sharing options and use Teams as fluidly if you are on a Mac and
yes,
not
you can.
on a PC. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a Teams app for Mac. I use it at home an awful lot. There are a few little differences, but 95%, 99% is the same now. Pretty much all the features exist in both. There is also a web app as well. So if you don't have Teams installed, there is a web app that has probably 80% of the features available to you. There's also an iPhone app and an Android app. So you can use this on pretty much any device. Okay, while we're in here looking at files, I'm going to show you another collaboration feature that Microsoft have, which is multiple people editing the same documents. So you see here I've got a Word document. If I open that file, it's going to open it in Word within Teams. Right, so I'm still in Teams, but here you can see much of the usual Word sort of functionality. Not quite everything. It's not quite as powerful as the full desktop application, but I can start doing many of the usual Word things. Inserting a picture, links, comments, everything you're used to. But what's really cool about this is this little button here. I can see that Marta is also open and has the same file. She's not actually active at the moment. Martha, if you can log into that file again, you'll see she'll appear here, and I'll see her cursor as well. So that she
try
can
to find it again.
So
I
just
should be here.
what there you go. All right, so you see MA Marta is typing on her screen, and at the same time, I can be typing. So we can both work on this at the same time, and if we don't like each other very much, we can really annoy each other by deleting files as she's typing them. But it means if you're in two different locations, working on a document, working on a presentation, an Excel file, you can both be looking at it at the same time and typing in different parts, or maybe you're working on the first page and somebody else is working on 5 pages further down. And you can do this with Word, with Excel, I think with PowerPoint, and possibly 1 or 2 other applications, which is brilliant, really cool. It is a little bit restricted though, there's not quite all the features. So if you need to, you always have this button here, which is Open in Desktop App. And it will now slowly open up in Word. Oh, it's on the other screen. There we go. Right, so there's that same document in the other screen. I can still see Marta's logged in. She can probably still edit it at the same time. This might be a little bit slow because it's not online, but still fairly good, right? I can see her typing here. Okay, and now I've got all of the features, the full power of Word if I need it. Okay, and you'll notice this is auto-saving. So as you type, it's saving. You no longer need to go in and hit the save button. It'll type it'll save every time you press something. If I close out, you saw she typed in the last line, it'll work. I come back here. Oh no, she typed let me try. Yeah, so it's updating on both. So somebody could be working on the full application on their home PC. Somebody else could be working online. And as you see here, I hadn't even noticed this before. This is new. It's now told me what she's done. Right, so I can see that Marta's made some changes, and here's what she did. Okay. Any questions on files, SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, Explorer, or collaboration?
We don't have any questions.
No.
Any new questions right now?
Okay.
Oh,
now,
sorry, could I just add something?
Sure.
Does that only work with the latest version of Microsoft Office?
No, it works with a couple of versions back, but some features may not be available. So within Teams, this doesn't matter what version you've got installed. This is the latest version, effectively. If you open in Desktop App, if you've got maybe a 2013 version of Office, it'll still work. I don't think you have the collaboration feature in that version, though.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so we've talked about posts, we've talked about files. Wiki is a Wikipedia style page. Okay, so you can use this as a sort of a reference page or a guidebook or something. I think we use it here. Yeah, so for our collective project, we've got a whole load of technical details that we need to understand, and anybody that's a member of the team can just come in and look at all of these commands and work out what they need to do. So that's a nice little feature. Anybody can edit that. Oh, sorry, any member of the team. Wiki any member of the team can come in and add a section, section 1, and type in a load of text here. Okay, but that's just one thing. If you click on the little plus, there are hundreds of applications that you can share here. So you could share a planner page, Power BI, PowerPoint. These are Microsoft's ones, or there are loads of third-party tools. So Box is a sharing application maybe you want to use, a calendaring application. There's hundreds of them. I couldn't tell you what half of them do. There is a nice one called Polly, yeah, which is like a poll application. So you can let people vote on ideas. If you like this, come in here and look around. Literally, there's hundreds. So I don't know what most of them do. Salesforce is a CRM tool that some of you may have. Let's not go through all of them, but you can add any one of those. Let me pick a simple one. Planner is one I like. So I add a planner page. And do I have an existing plan? I don't, so I'll create a new plan. Yeah, let's call it the VAI project. Right, save that. Planner is a tool I think a lot of you would find very useful. It's a sort of a to-do list that you can share amongst your team. So anybody can come in here, and once it's opened up, you can add in tasks. Teams training. We're going to do SharePoint training. You could go practice, whatever you want. And so that's my to-do list. Yeah, and I can assign that to myself. Okay, and maybe we'll make Marta do the SharePoint training next. There we go. So that's for her, right? And that's in my to-do list. I can create buckets here, such as in progress, maybe complete. Okay, and so Teams training is in progress. So I just drag it and drop it here. So you can see, what's left to do, who's working on what, and what's complete. Then you can group this by lots of different things. So what's Dominic working on, what's Marta working on, who's not been assigned something, progress, due dates, all kinds of things. Again, it's not a planner session. If you've got questions about that, let me know, or maybe we'll do a planner session at some point in the future. Right, so that's Teams.
Yeah,
So that's Teams within Teams.
Question.
Yep.
I got Will is asking if it's a version of Gantt there.
Of Gantt?
Yeah. I don't know, Will, if you want to say something, you can speak. You're on mute right now. You're on mute, Will.
I find Gantt charts really helpful in terms of planning, lots of multiple things to deadlines and critical points. And that looked a bit like Gantt, but is there a team version of that? There
isn't that I know of. There might be if you look down here. Okay. No, I wouldn't be surprised if one comes out soon in Planner. Right. Planner's relatively new as well. I think it's been around a couple of years. It's growing. You can see there are different views, but it's not quite a sort of a dependency chart. It doesn't quite tell you, well, you've got to do this thing, then this thing next. Okay. It's not quite that tool. There probably is one. I wouldn't be surprised, but
I shall look.
Yeah, I'm sure one of these things, 365 projects. If you search for project, you could use project. So if you've got a license, this is a paid Microsoft application. Right. That definitely does have Gantt's. Microsoft Roadmap looks like it might do it. Okay, but as I say, there's so many products coming out. You'd have to look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, we don't have any.
Okay, so we've covered chat, we've covered activity, we've covered Teams. Calendar. Okay, so this is my work calendar, and you can see this is very similar to your Outlook calendar. In fact, it's linked to your Outlook calendar, so it's exactly the same meetings. But within here, I'm going to show you how to schedule meetings, how to invite people. So let me just go back so I show you what I did. So I'm going to say I want to have a meeting at 5 o'clock to 6. So I can just go and find that time, and it will automatically bring up this sort of scheduling window. Let's not call it a team meeting, that's confusing, right? Just call it a meeting. You invite who you want to. See, so I have to have Marta's whole address to invite her because she's not part of my teams. There we go. I could invite members of my own team. Yeah, very easily. If I take Marta out, it also will allow you to pick the time you want, but it will also suggest times when we're both free. And you see, as I add more people in, it will suggest different times when everybody's available. So struggling, still the same time, right? 5 to 6, everyone's free, or possibly 4:30 to 5:30. Okay, because I'm building this in Teams, it will be a team meeting. Okay, so it'll automatically have a Teams channel, which I'll show you in a second. The rest of the stuff is fairly standard. And if I send that, the meeting is sent. Marta will get it in her email too. And now you see when I click on that meeting, I have a button here that says join. So Marta, did you get that meeting?
Let me go there.
So I'm going to join it. Okay.
I got the not disturb thing either. Let me come.
I'm joining the meeting, and you'll see I'm here all on my own, lonely at the moment.
I should find these in my calendar, huh?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I got it here, and I'm gonna join. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Join now.
So Marta joins. I can see Marta's waiting in the lobby. So as a security feature, I've got this set up, so guests can't automatically join and listen in without me knowing they're here. Okay, so let's have a look. So I'm in the meeting. Marta's in the lobby. Do I want to let her in? Yeah, why not? Okay, so I click on I click on the plus, and now I can see Marta's here.
And it's echoing.
It's echoing.
And yeah, now we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yes, now yes.
Okay. Marta, I'm going to kick you out.
Oh.
Just so that we don't have the echo. But once you're here in the team, there's more that you can do. So there's a chat. I'm not going to demonstrate it because you've seen chat already, but I can chat to everybody else that's a member. Raise your hand to ask questions. That's kind of similar to Zoom. One of the things I really like, this is all standard stuff. You can have, this is very cool, turning on live captions. I don't think that'll work when there's no one else here, but I don't know if Zoom does this as well. But Teams can actually listen to you and write it up as you speak. So this is really helpful for people that can't, people with disabilities, people with hearing problems, or maybe just if you're in a loud space. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I'll turn that off. Is there anything else in here that's really exciting to see? No, I think that's it for the exciting stuff. The other thing I like is I can share here. I can share my screens and my PowerPoints like I'm doing in Zoom, but there's also, I can share a whiteboard. So if I share this, we now have a collaboration whiteboard that I can draw in. I'll invite Marta back in for a moment. All right, Marta,
That's what that drawing.
It should be calling Marta now. So you see, I've invited her back. She joins. And Marta, do you want to just try and have a draw there? So this is not me. You can see my mouse is over here.
It says let me check. It says that something went wrong.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Okay.
Sorry, I can show you my drawing skills.
No worries. I'll kick you out just so we don't get too much echo. But in theory, you can share a whiteboard and draw things, or put your post-its up and that sort of stuff.
We got a question, not about the whiteboard, but when you were doing the Outlook and creating the meeting, there was a question for Mac users that they ask if you can link it or synchronize it to iCal.
So iCloud?
No, the iCalendar.
So iCalendar, yeah. Yes, you can. So, have I got one? It will appear basically as an attachment in your email. So yes, if you send this to anybody, it doesn't matter who you add in here. If they're not a Teams user, they'll receive this in. In fact, let me do this. So this is my own account. I'll send an update. And if you hold on just 1 second, so that's sent to my machine. And this is not Outlook, but this is the meeting I've just received. So you can see it's got all the dial-in details here, but it also has the ICS. This is the attachment. If you open that on a Mac, it will save it to the Mac calendar application. If you open it on Outlook, it will also save it to an Outlook calendar. This is a fairly standard. It's not 100% universal, but it's fairly standard. One of the most common forms of calendar attachment. So if I double click on that, it'll actually open it up into my Outlook. So you notice this is a different mail app. This is Outlook, and it's just posted this straight into my calendar. So it's fairly interoperable across all mail applications. Any other questions?
We got 5 minutes left. But there's a question of someone that basically it's used to Zoom, but recently was invited to a Teams meeting and accepted the invite, and then disappeared from her email. But then she wasn't able to find it in the calendar where that was stored. That if there is, I don't know, where should have looked or.
So if you receive an invite, it should automatically appear in your calendar, whether your Teams calendar or if you're an Outlook user as well, it should appear here in your Outlook calendar. If it's not, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head why that could happen. There are a number of reasons that could happen. It normally means you maybe declined the meeting or maybe requested a different time. If you do that, it won't go into your calendar until the meeting is resent at a new time. So there's a number of reasons that could happen, but it should normally just appear straight away.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's one way of inviting a meeting. You do have 2 more options up here. One is just click a new meeting and select the time. Well, the other one is, you don't want to schedule it, you want to do it right now. Just hit the Meet Now button and it will fire up a meeting. Okay, so similar to what we've seen a minute ago. And in here, I can just go and invite people directly, and it will actually ring them. If they've got Teams, it will ring them on Teams and ask them to join. Okay, I'll hang up on that before Marta joins so that we don't get the echo again. I think that's it. Any other questions on meeting? There is actually one other thing I can show you. We looked at Teams a minute ago and we set up channels. If I do a new meeting, you can actually add channels. So it wasn't, what do we call it? Test team, general. If I do this test meeting and send that, it actually appears in the channel. So it will appear here in a second, so that anybody that's a member of the channel There we go. Can see that there is a meeting scheduled at this time, and anybody that's a member of the channel can click on that. They would get the option here to add it to their calendar, and they can see all the dial-in details and join the meeting. So there are different ways of inviting different groups of people. You don't need to know everybody and type in their email address or their name. If they're all a member of the channel, you invite the channel. Okay, that's it on calendar. I've got 2 minutes left. Very, very quickly, there is another feature here, which is calls, which allows you to dial. It's a paid license, so you don't get it by default, but you can get a telephone number that's hosted in Teams. So if somebody rings that number, my Teams will light up and it will start ringing, and I can answer that call here. Or I can use Teams to dial not only contacts through Teams, but I can dial mobile phones or regular landlines, and I can talk through Teams on my PC to somebody on the mobile phone out in the street, which is a really useful feature. And I'm afraid one I can't talk much more about because I've run out of time.
We've got a question here that it says, can we invite to meet now by email rather than phone, as all our staff have the same phone number? Do you have any solution?
Say that again, can you invite to meet now?
Yeah, by email rather than phone.
Yeah, so once you've set up a meet now, if you type in their email address, so I think I have Martha still there. So if you type in an email address, you can then invite them via email. Yeah, that's now ringing Martha, and she can join the meeting or not. I think she's set to do not disturb, so it's not ringing her phone. Okay, but if she wasn't, she'd now be here in the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the question, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Graham, if it's not, please let us know.
All right, I have a couple more minutes if there are any questions.
I mean, I have a question. It's not related to Teams. It's just that you said you did an overview of 365. Is that recorded, and can I see that, please?
I think it was recorded. Martha, do you know? You might have to ask Alex. It was recorded by Voluntary Action Camden.
I think that she did, because I mean, our idea is to record all of them, and we are recording this one today. Then probably it's recorded. We will check it with her.
Will I be able to get hold of a copy of it to view it, because I wasn't able to make the meeting?
Do you have Alex's email address?
Do I have your, sorry?
Alex's email address, or send me an email address to have your details. Yeah. Okay,
thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No,
I'm sorry that I've had to sort of drop off at the end. I didn't. It's amazing how long you can talk about something like this.
Yeah, but basically, I can see people saying thank you and saying goodbye. Then maybe we can go to a more advanced one in the future. Like, let's see if there is more interest in this.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Then, hope that was helpful.
Thank you very much to everybody.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.